Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Iwan Syahril. Today, I'm going to share a reflection about change. I think, so I'll use bahasa Inggris ya. Is that okay? So, at the moment, I'm doing a lot of reflection. So I'm active in global organizations. After being a teacher educator, and a policymaker in Indonesia. And I look around at the global ecosystem. We love to talk about change. We want change to happen. We are not short of good, even great ideas. So when the Bu Ira invited me for this conference, and the title is Reimagining the Future of Education, I made an assumption that a lot of speakers will be talking about great ideas for how we should reimagine the future of education. The thing is, even in the small scale, medium scale, or large scale, in any ecosystem, even you are a school principal, or you are a regional director, or you are a country policymaker, leading change is never easy. Even when you have the best ideas, even when you feel like you have a very good collective individuals in your team, but change rarely happens the way that we want or as fast as we want. There's always a resistance, and this is not only from my own personal experience, because in the past maybe 6 months, I've been observing, engaging, and also learning around the world. And I have a new mission, which is the same with my mission since I started my career as a teacher, which is how we can help the students to get the impact of learning the way that we want. It's always the puzzle of giving the impact that is affecting the students. Either again, like you are the classroom teacher, you're the school principal, or district manager, or a country leader. The way that I've been thinking is how whatever that we do arrive at the students. And many times, especially when I look around also in the global ecosystem, people talk about change in forums, in research, seminars, conferences, but it rarely arrives at the students that need them the most. So we spend so many resources, but not smart enough to make it the impact really meaningful for the stakeholder who really needs the most, and what we've been talking about. So then I start to think about why. So I'm going to share with you, I'm writing a book now. The title, the tentative title is The Human Journey in Leading Change. So I want to humanize the process of leading change. This is for those who are interested. You don't have to have a structural position in order to enable change, but you can be part of the ecosystem that influence change to happen. So why is it difficult? And before I start my sharing, I asked Bu Ira earlier, 4 years ago, I also was involved in the conference. I shared about Ki Hajjal Dewantara. It's the father of Indonesian education. I shared about the philosophy of Ki Hajjal Dewantara to the global audience at that time. It was Zoom because it was 2021, we were still in COVID. So I'm going to use the framework of Ki Hajjal Dewantara again, so to have like a continuity in how I talk about my learning about the human journey of change. So no matter where you are, when you have great ideas, understand that change is not a linear thing. So there are three things that I want to highlight. And this is aligned with the Ki Hajar Dewantara's framework. The first one is the nature of human being. The nature of human being. Ki Hajar's word is kodrat anak, kodrat sang anak. But I want to twist this, not only sang anak, because sang anak becomes bigger, becomes an adult, they still stay as a human being, and I think it's the same. And the nature of human being, according to Ki Hajar, there are a couple of dimensions, few dimensions. The first one is chip, the cognitive aspect, rasa, the affective aspect, karsa, willpower, and then, of course, raga, physical. So, because human being is complex, we cannot just focus on cipta, the cognitive aspect. There is also rasa, the feeling, the affective part, and there is also karsa, the willpower. First, maybe we assume if people understand the idea logically, then they will be moved, and then they have the willingness to enact the change. What I found out, and again, looking at different episodes in different countries or different ecosystems, this is my first key point that I'm going to share with you. This is part of my reflection and my book writing. Change is emotional. Change is emotional. When I was studying for my master's degree, I entered the program thinking about teacher learning and change, because I was frustrated with my peers. Why do they attend the same workshops, very inspiring workshops with me? They teach in the same institution as me, but they're not doing the ideas like I was very excited about. So I wonder about what kind of learning should we provide for teachers in order for them to change. That's all. And actually, my scholarly journey is defined by this question. How do we enable, or how do we create learning support for teachers to change? There was one theory that I bumped into and then became one of my go-to reference. It's called cognitive dissonance theory. So this is a psychological theory. So when human receives new idea that conflicts or is a new idea that he or she never heard before, especially when it is conflicting with the existing belief, like for us, let's say, student-centered, teacher-centered, as simple as that. For us who understand already or part of the student-centered camp, we'll be so optimistic to say, why don't you see this? Why can't you see this? And for those who maybe are still in the teacher-centered, they feel like, hey, I'm a good educator. I've had a lot of students and they are so successful with my method. Why are you questioning and want me to change? I'm good where I am and I have proof. Maybe the student-centered camp will try to cite research and cite or show some findings, evidence in the classroom. Look at my students. It's never going to be linear. Why? In the cognitive dissonance, there is a mental discomfort. This is very human, not only in education, everywhere. Mental discomfort, so it's dissonant, it's like going back and forth. They start to think, but they're rejecting. Start again, maybe they will still stay rejecting. But in some cases, it can pass, and they start to wonder, maybe she is right. Maybe let me try. And for each person, each context, how this process goes on, we never know. It's very unpredictable. But you need that effort in terms of real change. Because if you want superficial change, it's easy. Just give fear. Inject fear in your institution, the staff will follow compliance because it's a fight or flight mode. So inject fear, they will change. But if you want real change, change from the heart, change from the paradigm, every human being needs to go through the cognitive dissonance. So therefore, this is a very emotional discomfort, and if you are leading change, you need to take this into account. So the human dimension, once again, is not just about cognitive ideas, but also the rasa, and therefore the karsa, the affective, and the willpower to do it. And this needs to be taken into consideration. So that's the nature of human being. Kodrat sang anak atau kodrat sang manusia. The second one, Ki Hajar mentioned about kodrat alam, the nature of your environment. And by alam, the environment, Ki Hajar mentioned about the immediate community where someone is situated in, and maybe the larger community. In his word, it's like the nation. So the community or the immediate culture, identity of this person, this human being, is also part of the context of how we consider leading change. There is an analogy that I always have in my mind when I think about Ki Hajar's philosophy. His philosophy is not only about education, it's actually about change. And it is about the solar system. So Ki Hajar says that it's okay that if we have the journey that is different, one person with the other. In education, it's differentiated instruction. Each learner is unique. In the cultural context, each culture also has its own identity. As long as you have the concentric component, you are actually going for the same essence. In solar system is the sun, and for Ki Hajar, the sun symbolizes our humanity values. So in leading change, we should allow people to have like their own journey, because each planet is not the same. Venus, you cannot make it like Earth. Earth is not the same as Jupiter. Each has its own orbit. Each also rotates in the speed that is different. So when leading change, there is and this is the second key point, allow the principle of choice. As long as it goes to the humanity, the circle, it's okay. And everyone has their own speed and their own orbit. You cannot force change. Because when you, and this is another way to explain this, why this is important. Do you know the law of diffusion of innovation? It's like this is a very famous theory in a lot of technology companies or big companies when you want to penetrate market penetration. It's a normal curve. I make it easy. They have three categories. The left one, 20%. The middle one, 60%. And the third one, on the right, is 20%. 20, 60, 20. Total, 100%. when you want to do change, you cannot expect everybody will accept change right away. Just like my first point about human being. But focus on the first category. We call this the early adopters. And then 20% focus on this. It means 80% are still not accepting. It's okay. Don't be discouraged, don't be disheartened. It is the human journey sociologically when we want to see the change. Then you will have the late adopters, and finally the third category will follow. So there is a staging, and again, this is to be expected. Just like the nature of human being, the nature of our environment also gives us text that we need to allow choice, not mandating change. The third one. Ki Hajar mentioned about kodrat zaman, the nature of the time. The time, the era where we live in now, some people call this VUCA, volatile, uncertain, complexity, and ambiguity. Disruption is the new normal. What do we need for this kind of era? We need, and this is my third key point, the mindset of innovation. What does it mean? To innovate, it means you cannot figure out and get the right answer right away. You need to experiment. You need to be okay with failure and then iterate and try again. Experiment, because nobody has the exact right answer because of the nature of the time of VUCA. Disruption is the new normal. And even it's going to be faster and faster going forward. So there you go. First, the nature of human being. Therefore, we need to be okay with cognitive dissonance, the mental discomfort. That's what it takes to get real change. The second, in terms of our environment or society, allow the principle of choice, focus on the early adopters, and then it will go to the late adopters and the third category. And the third one, the nature of our time, the innovators mindset. To be okay with failure, just like Thomas Alva Edison in trying to figure out the light bulb. That's the way that we need to learning, continuous learning, try again, fail again, try, iterate, learn, and go on. Allow that kind of mindset so then we can finally get better and better and better. No one gets the right answer right away because it keeps changing. So the main takeaway, when you want to lead change, and I came to this article in my final year working in the ministry. Harvard Business Review article on leadership. The 10 best article that Harvard Business Review ever published. And the first article is from Daniel Coleman. When you want to lead change, there are 3 traits of a change leader. The first one that people maybe often think about, technical skills. It's like maybe more procedural, all the details. Second one, the cognitive, strategic, looking at the big picture, understanding the patterns, and etc. But the third one, social emotional skills. And in this article, they did some sampling to like top successful leaders, and they found out social emotional skills is the one that made the difference the most when you want to lead change. So a lot of great ideas that we have in education that we want to implement, and I think we need to humanize the process of change. Because we are human beings, we deal with other human beings, and that's just our journey. So if we want to be more successful in change, humanize the process, understanding it as human beings, not like machine or not like technical. It's not about the best strategy, it's understanding the core humanity inside us that can give us bigger possibility to be successful. That's all. Hopefully the book will be published next year. It's gonna be in English. Thank you very much. Good afternoon. This is personal.
Pak Iwan,
Yeah, sure. Yes.
I think that's is a great speech on transformation gitu. But for us from civil society, when we want to instill change with our counterpart, the government, is often the case. They're the one who dehumanize everything. So, what is your tips for us in terms of how we can instill change with the government, since you have been on both sides?
Thank you, Pak Imam. There's one point that I forgot to mention, and I'm glad you asked the question, which is change only happens at the speed of trust. So collectively, as a society, when there is bigger trust, change, and this goes both sides, Pak. So this is something that has to go, like constructed collectively. So cannot be alone. But if there is a higher trust, bigger trust, the more likely change to happen. But if there is a low trust, then it's difficult. And this is a delicate balance. It depends on many contexts. I look at also other countries, very related with a lot of factors, culturally, politically, of course, and also sometimes also the leadership. Leadership is actually one of our, I'm trying to zoom into leadership, not only the top leadership, but leadership in the ecosystem. Actually, it's the most strategic investment in an ecosystem to make change happen. So invest in leaders in the ecosystem will make a difference. But I come back to the trust. If the trust is low, the kind of change that we want from the ecosystem is difficult. But if you can maintain trust within, maybe, let's say there is an institution, organization, or entity that cannot have that for now, then build alliance with those who you think more likely to have trust with. So you, again, like, we cannot control what we cannot control. So be at peace with that. But if you really want to do change, keep finding those allies for change. But trust is actually the main currency. If you want other institutions or entity to get trust, so find a way how the trust can happen. And this is actually the most difficult part, because when change is emotional and you need social emotional skills, it's really like the personal human interaction that can actually change that, the level of trust. Because again, the currency is trust. I give you an example. This is from my personal experience. It's amazing. I have one person that I really respect, and this person respects me a lot. So we have mutual respect. But when we look at, but for some reason, in this part of my journey, this is maybe a while ago, this person is like siding in a different view, opposite view to be. And then we look at the data. The data shows that, oh, it's actually, and I think this should be A, and this person says this is B. There's a data that strengthens the A. And then this person, because there is this distrust, look at the data, which is actually strengthening the opposition view. And this actually happens in politics. Actually, the theory in psychology comes from the research on American politics. So there's Republican and there's Democrat. So you want to show the data to persuade this person to move camp. So what happened when they show the data? And data is explained not by this person with the motive or interest, with someone totally neutral, authority of this data, show to this person. And this person solidify the opposition. So it backfires. So there's a backfire effect. Why? Because there is not from the cognitive. The way to approach that is not through giving more data, because it only will solidify the opposition. So to gain trust, we need a human interaction. And I think this is my take. It's the social emotional skills that actually can move the ecosystem to be like a high trust, and in your case also that. So in the absence of that, it rarely will change. It will stay the same, or it will even solidify. And of course, when we talk about people have different motives, different interests, and you have like a different agenda, like because it's going to be even more. But maybe human interaction can soften that. So I think in the absence of the human interaction, it's likely not going to change. So that's my take on that, Pak Imam. Thank you. Time is up, the moderator. Thank you, everyone.